Hey you, welcome to my channel, A Year and a Day. My name is Jenny and these past few months were all about transitioning into autumn and embracing the desire for change. After spending most of August floored by COVID, which indeed is still making its rounds occasionally, we were happy to be up and running again in the first week of September, and for 3 weeks we enjoyed early autumn in the Nordic woods.
I know exactly what I'm looking for.
As you might have heard me mention in my seasonal decks video, autumn kept kind of passing me by these past few years. I would either spend September back home in the Netherlands, working my day job, or travel further south to extend the summer. Which was nice, but also meant I was still in a summer mood by the time we got to Halloween, and was barely used to autumn when it was actually already time to prepare for Christmas. But this year, we spent almost the whole of September outside in nature. First in Norway and then in Sweden. And you could just feel early autumn in the air. The forest smelled of wood and damp earth, and there were mushrooms everywhere.
Don't wait for me, honey. Don't wait. 'Cause I'm always here.
Experiencing nature's transition from the abundance of summer to the in-between stage of autumn was nothing short of magical.
Exactly what I'm looking for.
Back home, I spent October fully embracing the autumnal vibes by installing my fairy lights and cozying up our home. And although creating cozy vibes in my home helps me a lot during these months when the days grow shorter and the weather turns cold and grey, I also could not shake the feeling that I myself am also in a season of transition and change. Returning home to our crowded country gets harder every year, and my dream of living in a more natural environment remains. I spent a lot of time in September and October thinking of ways to make this happen, and I cannot help but feel a sense of urgency and haste to change things up the older I get. But I also get so very easily discouraged by the sense of impossibility surrounding this dream, and I have the tendency to give up before I've even started. So, to embrace my desire for change, and in an attempt to prevent discouragement, I started updating my life plan for 2024 in October. This is a practice I started back in 2021, and it has helped me tremendously these past 2 years, with setting goals and making steps in the right direction. I might share a bit more on writing a life plan in a future video if you're interested. But for now, let's go to my table. And since I received quite a lot of new books and decks these past 3 months, I hope you're in the mood for a little book and deck haul. Starting with Leina and the Lord of Toadstools, illustrated by Julia Sarda. I showed another one of her illustrated books, The Wolf's Secret, in my seasonal decks video, and I realized I had this one on my wish list for ages. So I decided autumn was the perfect moment to add this one to my collection.
'Cause I'm always heading your way.
A book like this is a very easy read, but I absolutely love the illustrations and it's great to put on display. And that's Leina and the Lord of Toadstools. Two other books I had on my wishlist for quite a while are the Tarot and Plant Magic editions of the Library of Esoterica by Dani. And I must admit, I bought these books when traveling back to the Netherlands after our stay in Norway and Sweden, and they are for sure a result of retail therapy. But I am 100% sorry, not sorry, because these books are absolutely lovely. They are priced at 30 euros, but considering the quality and amount of information and illustrations you get in return, it's a pretty good price for a book like this.
Don't wait, 'cause I'm always heading your way.
I already had the edition relating to witches, and I really wanted to add the tarot and plant magic ones to my collection. Both hold a lot of information regarding these topics, complemented by dozens and dozens of illustrations.
You'll always be the one I want at midnight. You'll always steal my breath away. Yeah. You'll always be my heart and my life. Every second, every day.
And those are the Tarot and Plant Magic editions of the Library of Esoterica. The next book is actually a tarot guidebook, and it's the hardcover guidebook of the Terra Volatile. Now, this is easily the most extensive guidebook I have ever seen for a tarot deck. And since I have been whining about the Terra Volatile not having a physical guidebook, I of course had to order this one when I saw it online. And the creators have done an absolutely amazing job with this one. Not only does the book contain extensive descriptions of the cards and their meanings, the book also includes additional artwork and loads of alternative cards from the expansion packs.
You'll always be the one.
This book truly feels like a cousin of a Taschen publication, such as the Library of Esoterica. It goes far beyond any other guidebook that I know, and the creators truly did an amazing job. And that's the physical hardcover guidebook of the Terra Volatile Tarot. This next little book on the tarot is a part of the Find Your Power series. It was recommended to me by my good friend Sandi of Exploring Tarot here on YouTube. And I was able to get it for like €6 on Amazon. So I figured I would give it a try. I really enjoyed reading the introduction because it resonated a lot with the way that I use tarot personally.
And I know exactly what I'm looking for.
I noticed that I do not always completely agree with the card meanings in this little book. They often derive a little from my own interpretations of the cards. But I do really appreciate the reversed card questions that are there for every single card, because these are actually quite nice journaling prompts you can use.
You'll always be my heart, my life, every second, every day.
The Find Your Power series also has editions on stuff like runes and crystals, and they seem like nice, affordable beginner guides on all of these topics. And that's the Find Your Power book on tarot.
Don't wait for me, honey.
Next up is the Nordic Runes by Paul Rice Mountford.
'Cause I'm always hidden.
When visiting Norway, I was once again inspired to pick up my rune studies.
Exactly.
I would love to know all the meanings of the runes by heart, and this seemed like a good resource.
I'll keep running till I can no more.
The book does not only contain the meanings of these specific runes, but also a lot of background information, of which I hope it will really help bring the rune meanings to life for me.
You'll always be my heart, my life, every second.
And that's the Nordic Runes by Paul Rice Mountford. And this is a great segue to the decks part of this video, starting with the Runic Odyssey Oracle. Just when I had decided that I would pick up my rune studies again, I found this copy of the Runic Odyssey Oracle on a second-hand website. It's in absolute perfect condition and has this beautiful matte golden gilding. Newer versions of this deck are still available from the website of the creator, which I will link down below. And although the newer editions are absolutely beautiful, I never added them to my collection for the simple reason that the cards contain both the English and French meanings on the cards. And that might sound like a real petty reason not to get a beautiful deck, but there's just something about having multiple languages on the cards that causes my brain to completely melt down. It's one of my pet peeves that I cannot seem to get over, unfortunately. And it really stopped me from getting the newer editions of this deck. And to be honest, I didn't even know there was a version that only had the English keywords on the cards. But apparently this is an early Kickstarter edition of this deck. The quality is absolutely beautiful, and I like the fact that the cards hold both the names of the runes as well as the keywords, which will really help me in my studies.
Don't wait for me, honey. Don't wait.
The guidebook is small but contains loads of information.
'Cause I'm
And I'm really happy that I was able to add this edition of the deck to my collection. And that's the Runic Odyssey Oracle. Next up is the Fairies Oracle deck. This was kind of an impulse buy when seeing a walkthrough on Christa's channel, Cottage Witch Tarot. I was able to get it on Amazon for a very small price, so I decided to give it a go. But I will be completely honest with you. I was a little bit disappointed about the quality of the illustrations of this deck. I absolutely love the color scheme. And I really appreciate the effort that went into the borders of this deck, which you don't hear me say very often. But as you can see, for every card, the colors of the card translate into the borders, and I think that's a lovely little detail. But the artwork itself almost seems a bit vague or pixelated, and I cannot really get used to it. Maybe it's just the art style, but it also just feels a bit like a misprint. And it's a shame because the art itself is very pretty.
And I know exactly what I'm looking for. And as we go, I'll keep running till I can.
The little booklet contains information on the meanings and origins of the depicted characters, which are fairies from all over the world and from loads of different cultures. It's a lovely little deck, but in the end I am not sure how much I will be using it and if it completely fits my practice. And that's the Fairies Oracle deck. Next up is the Story Oracle, and the main focus of this deck is to help you with your creative writing. However, this deck can also easily be used as a regular oracle deck. And it even comes with a little guidebook containing the meanings of the cards, including upright and reversed interpretations. The illustrations and keywords are pretty straightforward and would work very well as clarifiers to a reading. But what really inspired me to give this deck a try is something I saw on the channel of Lisa Papes. She was playing around with the cards in little 3-card readings, having the cards tell little stories with a beginning, middle and an end. And this seemed to be working so very well with this deck that I decided to give it a try. Now, the digital illustration style is very modern, and I am having a little trouble finding decks to pair this one with within my collection. But I love the concept of this deck, and I'm very happy to keep it within my collection for now. And that's the Story Oracle. Another mass market deck that is easily available and quite affordable is the Dream Ritual Oracle deck. Now, as the title might suggest, this whole deck revolves around dreams and dream rituals. The guidebook provides more information on certain rituals you can perform. But to be completely honest, I am 100% here for the illustrations. I just absolutely love the soft color scheme of this deck. And the beautiful, whimsical and dreamlike illustrations.
I'll keep running till I can no more. You'll always be the one.
The illustrations contain lovely little details.
You'll always steal my breath away.
And every card contains a certain moon phase. The keywords are simple and to the point, and again can function as great clarifiers for any reading. You don't even really need a guidebook with keywords like this. So even though I am not particularly interested in the themes of this deck, I still really enjoy using this one as a regular oracle.
Don't wait for me, honey.
And that's the Dream Ritual Oracle. The Horror Tarot was a perfect deck to add to my collection in the weeks leading up to Halloween. I love the illustration style of Abigail Larson and I have several of her decks already. But the Horror Tarot had been on my wishlist for quite a while. I thought the borders were quite distracting from the artwork, and I wasn't sure if I would really like to work with the deck for that reason. But I believe it was Dani from Dani Mystic here on YouTube who paired this deck with the Citadel Oracle, and they looked so perfect together. So since I'm a sucker for a good deck pairing, I decided to give this one a go. But just like the other mass market decks that I am showing here in this video, I am not completely sure how long I will keep this one in my collection. The mass market decks that I got in August, September and October were all easily attainable and very affordable. And it was so easy to decide to just give them a go. But I do wonder if in the long run these are decks that I will be keeping in my collection. Or if I will end up rehoming them because they were impulse buys and not really decks for me. But I guess only time will tell. And for now, I really enjoy having another deck illustrated by Abigail Larson in my collection. And that's the Horror Tarot. The next two decks are indie decks that I was lucky enough to find secondhand, starting with the Moon Witch Oracle. This one had been on my radar for quite some time, and I was very happy to see it pop up on a second-hand website for a very lovely price. The quality of the deck is absolutely amazing, with matte golden gilding and lovely gold foil details on both the front and backs of the cards. The cards contain both keywords and key phrases. And the deck in general for me has quite a young and witchy vibe. But the readings I've done with this deck so far have been really lovely. And I really enjoy the additional information in the guidebook.
Don't wait, 'cause I'm always heading your way.
I've seen quite a few fake editions of this deck around. So if you are interested in getting a copy, make sure it's an official release by the creator and contains a guidebook.
You'll always be the one.
And that is the Moon Witch Oracle.
You'll always steal my breath away.
And when I spotted this second-hand copy of the Hollow Valley Tarot, including the big guidebook, I was so excited because I had been looking for this edition for quite some time. Now, as you can see, this second-hand copy of the deck definitely came in a bit of a pre-loved condition. Both the box as well as the back of the cards really show some wear. And to be completely honest, usually I do not pick up second-hand decks that show a lot of wear, but for this one I gladly made an exception. I absolutely love the Hollow Valley deck of symbols by the same creators. But for some reason it proved to be quite a challenge to get my hands on a copy of the tarot that included the big guidebook. And since the big guidebook of the Hollow Valley deck of symbols is one of my favorite guidebooks within my collection, I was really keeping an eye out for the Hollow Valley tarot deck that included the big guidebook as well. And even though the guidebook has also seen some better days, for some reason this just makes me love this copy of the deck even more. The guidebook is really extensive and holds a lot of information.
You'll always be my heart, my life.
Each card has a full-page illustration as well as a beautiful description on the meaning of the cards, the symbols, and a little affirmation phrase. I am so very happy that I was able to add this one to my collection, and that's the Hollow Valley Tarot deck. Next up is my first ever Make Playing Cards order, and it's the Naturescapes Tarot.
Don't wait.
And this actually is also my first ever photography deck in my collection, containing nothing but landscapes. Now, I absolutely love the eye candy that this deck provides. As a lover of photography and nature, this is a match made in heaven. But that being said, I am having some difficulties finding decks to pair this one with within my collection, since this is my one and only photography deck. Luckily for me, the deck also works perfectly well on its own and doesn't need any other decks to look beautiful in a spread.
Every second, every day.
And that's the Naturescapes Tarot. This next indie deck was another one of my post-holiday retail therapy purchases. And it's the Florana Tarot. Now, this is one of those decks that I had never seen before in my life and then ended up ordering within 5.2 seconds. The color scheme of this deck instantly reminded me of the Modern Witch Tarot by Liminal 11. I absolutely love the color scheme of that deck, but the deck itself is a little bit too modern for me, so I end up not really using it that much. The themes of the Florana Tarot are much more plant and earth based. The deck is filled with these weird plant and mushroom human hybrids. Or the way Marine of the Waves of Your Soul here on YouTube described it when I was chatting to her about this deck. It's like The Last of Us, but make it floral. And I thought that was just the most perfect description of this deck. And that's the Florana Tarot. The last two decks of this video are also part of my post-holiday retail therapy haul. And these are two decks by Jonassa Jaus. Starting with the 7th edition of the Jonassa Jaus. Now I already have the 4th edition of this tarot deck and I never really use it, mainly because it is not in English and for some reason that causes my brain to have a little meltdown. So why on earth I would ever need another edition of a deck I never use is beyond me. But for some reason, when I was ordering this one, together with the Stunning Tarot, it made perfect sense. Now obviously this is a beautiful deck and I really love the comic book style illustrations. I also love the shape and color scheme of this edition, which is different from the 4th edition I already owned. But mostly I think I ordered this deck because I could. The Jonassa Jaus decks are very well sought after and I think I got a little bit carried away with some sense of FOMO. And I honestly think that is about the worst reason to buy a deck. I already have the 4th edition of this deck and I love that shape and color scheme more than I do this one. So I can very well see the 7th edition of this deck leaving my collection in the future. And I can only hope that next time, in my post-holiday retail therapy FOMO blues, I will make better decisions. And that's the Jonassa Jaus 7th edition. The same order from Jonassa Jaus included the 4th edition of the Stunning Tarot, and this was a deck that was new to me. The Stunning Tarot had been on my radar for quite some time, but somehow I always felt like it wouldn't be for me. But of course, in a weak moment, I decided to give it a try. And this deck has actually managed to really surprise me. Now, I do not see myself at all as an intuitive tarot reader. I love the fact that the tarot is a structured system and that every single card has a certain meaning. I love learning about those meanings and I love seeing them combined within a reading. But for some reason with the Stunning Tarot, my readings felt a lot more intuitive. As if the illustrations told a separate story, away from the specific card meanings. And they really blew me away with their accuracy. And just like that, a deck that I had not really expected to bond with suddenly became a very special deck within my collection. And I guess that is part of the fun of having a collection of decks. And also sometimes just trying something new. Not every deck I bring into my collection will be a good match. And not every deck will stay with me forever. But I love to keep finding inspiration and surprises within new decks out there. So sometimes it's okay to take a little chance. And that's the Stunning Tarot. And that's it. Those were the books and decks that came into my collection in the months of August, September and October. This honestly was probably one of the longest production times of any of my videos, with me starting the whole process at the end of October and finishing at the end of December. But I hope you enjoyed watching anyways. Please know I enjoy your company and appreciate your patience. And with that being said, I wish you a lovely end of the year, and I hope to see you in 2024. Bye!
Every second, every day.